sale issue, so we'll get that issue.
Okay, calling the Newcastle City Council regular meeting on Monday, May 15th, 2023 to order. Please rise for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The agenda, there is a couple things that need to be added. Under mayor council member reports, number 2, Heritage Park update. And then we have an executive session, 16-4-405 AII for personnel.
I move that we accept the amended agenda.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of Monday, May 1st, 2023.
I move we approve the minutes of May 1st, 2023.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Nominations for recognition. For the first one is for Brett Sprockets for their work on the Weston County trails and promoting Newcastle. Are they here? All right. We do have a certificate for you, or for the group itself. Do you have any updates on any of the trails? Sure.
You gonna tell them?
And which trails they are?
So currently we have a grant going for the old quarry trails for the continuation of 3 miles of construction. That'll give us 5 miles of trail at the old quarry trails. We are also finishing up the adaptive trails at Flying V. There's 17 miles of trail. So yeah, 17 miles of trail on the Flying V section. That's a state parcel that the city leases for that trail system. So those are the new things. We have a kiosk going up in that parking lot. The parking lot's been expanded this late fall, winter, and hoping to get good usage on it this summer. So those are where we're at. We have a grant, like I said, for that $20,000 for the extra 3 miles. But I do want to challenge the city and the council members to think what's the next step, because I'm thinking of what's our next step. And I look at 2, and our club members look at 2 possibilities, and that's trail accessibility to town. That means where you can walk out of your house from town and hit a trail. Just don't think of all the details, but what if we had 4 more miles connected to the Serenity Trail, where you could leave a business here after lunch and go hike with somebody and get up to those trails on that state parcel? Or what if the other challenge would be a park within the city for bikes? And I brought that up to you before, and it hasn't been forgotten. We're looking for property, whether it's city property, whether it's private property, or something that we can acquire where we can develop a bike park. That's our 2 challenges that we would like to keep people in mind of, that we're working on as well. So that's what we have going on. And then Saturday we do have the Caveman Fun Run at the Flying V. And even if you're not going to participate in the fun run, after that's a re-grand opening. So you can come up and see the new trails, or the trails of how we've done that. And that would be at 11 o'clock, where you would be more than welcome to come up and have either a guided tour or walk on your own and see what we have to offer for the trails in Newcastle.
And that's on Saturday?
Yes,
What time?
11 o'clock.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
In Texas, they have a bike park, like you described to us in the past, with a skate park.
Nice.
So it's pretty cool to go out there and see all the kids and adults
Right.
jumps and wondering how many broken bones will be by the end of the day. So, it's pretty cool.
Probably less than you would expect, but that would be awesome to have something like that here where you can see where kids are going to, not just kids, adults as well. A place in town that they can go and have an hour of fun and go back to wherever they're doing it, or 15 minutes of fun on the way home from school, or whatever, as opposed to just riding around on the streets or sidewalks.
Absolutely.
Just a moment, take a moment to re-thank the city of Newcastle for
Yes.
paying special leases on this, just for being fine to me all these years, so.
Thank you guys for all your work on
No,
it.
yeah, it's gonna put Newcastle on the map.
We hope to.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
We have another certificate of recognition for Frida's house, but I don't see anyone here for that, so we'll get that. Send it to David. Okay. Of recognition, I have a couple. I don't have the names exactly, but Stacy and I talked about it, and she'll find them out for me. But there is a new owner for 21 Electric. There's a new owner for Volkers, and there's a new owner for Frontier Hardware. Frontier Hardware, I know is gonna turn into an Ace, and they're still gonna keep the Carquest from my understanding. So, I think that's pretty cool that they're gonna keep those businesses going forward. Any other certificates of recognition? Okay. Business in writing, number 1 is Weston County School District number 1, seasonal sewer forgiveness. Dated May 4th, 2023, dear council members, Weston County School District number 1 is requesting the city council consider summer sewer averaging for our facilities. We certainly understand that we must pay for the water we use. As you know, when water usage goes up, the sewage cost also increases. In the 3 months during the summer, we have very little sewage use. We know that summer sewer averaging is allowed by the city, and we would like to request it for our facilities. We appreciate your consideration. Sincerely, Brad LaCroix, Superintendent, Weston County School District number 1.
And Mayor, I make the motion that we approve the summer sewer averaging for Weston County School District number 1.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Number 2 in citizens business in writing, we have Melissa Stubbs' retirement party, which is Friday, June 2nd, 2023 at 5 p.m. at the Pizza Barn. They are asking for some RSVPs to Maggie. That would be Melissa's daughter. That phone number is on the bottom of your invitation.
I even texted her today and it works too, so if you don't wanna call her, just text her.
Do we have anything planned to give her?
5 p.m.
We're gonna,
I think that she.
yeah, we're gonna get something.
Okay. All right. City writing number 3, Brad LaCroix, SRO. We have a letter to the city of Newcastle with our upcoming retirement of juvenile probation officer Doug Sweet on Monday, on May 4th, 2023. Weston County Board of Trustees approved allocating the district portion, 1/3 of her salary, to now go towards hiring a school resource officer. We would like to continue our partnership with the city and county and allocate those funds to hire an SRO for the school year. During the summer months, the school resource officer would work with the city. We would also understand that the SRO would have to leave to help local law enforcement in an emergency. Please consider continuing our partnership and help keep our students, school, community safe. Sincerely, Brad LaCroix, Superintendent, Weston County School District number 1. This brought up a question that I asked Stacy a little bit earlier, is that, we pay a portion for probation, the juvenile probation. Would this be something that we're still contributing to? Because Sheriff Kohler said they do think they have a replacement for Deb Sweet's position. Or are we going to just continue with SRO or both? I guess is a question we need to know for a budget.
Do we have a price on this SRO thing?
It would be what the officer's salary is, but, or hourly rate. And then the way that I think it will probably work is that the 20,000 would just supplement, their hourly rate. So I think an SRO is really, really needed. We spend a lot of time in high school and middle school.
Chief, can I hold you for 1 second? I'm sorry. We do have a scheduled 10 for asphalt recycling, and I think the SRO is going to take a little bit more time to discuss. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the one bid that we have, and this bid is from Normont Equipment out of Great Falls, Montana. I'm reading here. Okay. So the asphalt recycling cycler bid that we have received from Normont Equipment is for a quote total of $100,225. Do you want to explain on where this is all? It's just to recycle all that.
So the road millings we received, the mill tailings is what they call them, from the highway project a few years back. We actually received all those from the highway department, free of charge. We can actually use those mill tailings, put them through this machine, basically it reheats it, reactivates the oil, and we can have asphalt basically created here in town, versus paying $99 a ton plus trucking to get it to Newcastle for any street patching we have to do. Last year we spent $83,000 in asphalt, not including the trucking.
Will we run out of those mill tailings?
We will run out of mill tailings long after I'm probably retired. There's a huge pile of it.
What are
Anything we
you
pull.
retiring?
Also, anything we pull out, we can actually take that asphalt, use it, put it back into the machine, put a rejuvenating oil with it, and actually create asphalt out of the stuff we pull out, as well as the mill tailings. So it should be just kind of a constant cycle where we shouldn't have to buy as much asphalt out of town, if any. The other advantage to this is in the springtime, we can actually heat up oil in March, April if we want to, or heat up asphalt for patchwork if we need to, such as potholes. Where right now we're kind of held off fixing potholes until it's warm enough to do something. This way we could actually heat up the oil and heat up the millings and create asphalt and not patch potholes.
In your experience, is that a reasonable price for one of these machines?
Yeah, I've seen them as high as $195,000. So
Is there any possible way that we can get you up here to look at this thing before we accept the bid?
We've demoed it twice.
Oh,
We
you
looked at the bid. It would be suggested that we look at the bid prior to awarding it, and I can look at it well the rest of the meetings to make sure it meets the specs we require.
Is this for a used or new machine?
New machine.
New machine.
You carry a warranty?
Yep. 2-year, I believe, parts and, I don't remember. It had a warranty on it. I don't remember exactly what the warranty was. But we required a warranty on it. So,
It has a 2-year parts and workmanship warranty, a 5-year trailer frame structure warranty is all I can see on here. Those are the only warranties I can find on here.
yeah, that should be about right. I don't remember what the trailer was warranted for.
I can pass this around if you want. Anybody wants to look at it?
Nobody else did?
It does have the bonding and all
How much are we looking at buying this year, asphalt?
We could easily buy $100,000 because the price went up.
Greg, if you were sitting up here, would you vote to buy that machine?
Absolutely, that's why I presented it.
Okay. That's what I want to hear.
With this machine, we should be able to produce about 6 tons an hour. We can work at our own pace rather than having 1 or 2 or 3 trucks come, dump the asphalt on the ground, wait for it to cool off, which creates problems. Once the asphalt cools off, it becomes difficult to work with.
Oh, sure.
So you have a very short window of time to work with it. This way, we would actually receive the asphalt on site at over 300 degrees versus 250 degrees. I know 50 degrees doesn't seem like a lot of temperature, but when you're dealing with asphalt, it's huge. Yeah, so we would actually be able to work at our own pace, be able to fix our utility cuts, utilize material we already have. When I crunched the numbers, I figured we're gonna be able to produce asphalt for less than $20 a ton versus $99 a ton. plus
Say that
trucking.
again.
We should be able to produce asphalt for less than $20 a ton if we use this and our mill tailings versus $99 a ton plus trucking.
Okay.
To see the bid requirement was 3 ton an hour, and you said 6.
Yep.
And this one here showing 4, so it meets the 3. This spec on it showing 4 tons an hour, rated for 4 tons an hour.
When we demoed it here, 3 or 4 weeks ago, plus we demoed it about 2 years ago, we figured we could produce between 5 and 6 ton an hour once we got the machine warmed up.
So it would pay for itself pretty quickly.
Yeah,
After a couple of years, it would probably pay for itself,
yep.
depending on how much maintenance the machine requires.
Which a new machine shouldn't require too much maintenance right away. One person can operate it versus you got one person doing just trucking.
I think it'd be good for our town.
Stacy?
If it would help our.
Is it okay in our budget to do this?
I believe so. We have, there was a $40,000 line item allocated to improvements within the general fund. I don't remember the streets or not, but it was in the general fund, and then a 15,000 in another section of the general fund. So that's 55,000 right there.
Well, no new police cars.
Different budget, different time.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I'm purchase this machine for Greg?
If I want to have Greg look at it, make sure it
Well,
meets the specs. he got there.
With the fact that he does look at it and that was taken into account, you know. Nobody's gonna second it, so you don't get your machine.
What's that?
Nobody second my motion, you don't get your machine.
I would second the motion so that we can further the discussion.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion?
It's the only bid that we received. And when Greg brought it up, we all seemed, you know, to be in favor. I mean, I would personally was in favor. So, I think that any new technology that could increase our ability to, maintain the streets and not have to pay all the trucking back and forth from Skitterfish, from Sackerton. I personally drove that truck and hauled the asphalt, the blue dump truck and the pup. I mean, and like you said, cold asphalt is hard to work. And it would be great to be able to manufacture it right here on site and fill the holes and not have to worry about sending people, you know, out of state to go get asphalt.
And trucking, last year, a couple times we used a private contractor, it was $1,500 just for the trucking for 2 months. Basically 48 tons of asphalt.
Wow.
I'm all for it, I just need to, I guess, if it was part of the motion, that it would be under the approval of, that it meets that, and I would vote for it, but if it doesn't have that portion in the motion, I can't vote yes for it unless I know it meets the specs that we're looking for.
The trailer come through this?
Yes.
I see that.
And he'd look at it while we're doing
Right.
the rest of our meeting, we can.
Yeah. I would have thought, you know, the motion would have come in after he reviewed it and said it met the specs.
Would you be willing to amend your motion to include that the Public Works Director needs to approve it?
Well, I like what you said,
Yeah.
so I thought I did that already, but
So the motion's been
amended to
Amended
include
to
this approval.
include the approval from Brady after reviewing the bid.
And I would continue to second it.
Thanks.
So we have a
Just
motion
little
and
things in the
second.
motions that
We have an amended motion and second.
just covering us.
Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Okay, so as long as you review it and it's to your specs, then it's specs. Okay. Citizens business and writing regulatory SRO. You can continue, Chief, sorry to.
So, we would use that money from the school district to supplement the hourly rate for our officer. We do spend a lot of time at the school, which takes off from normal patrols, and today, my officer was up there twice for things. If we have an SRO, they can handle the stuff at the school. They build a good report for the kids. It's gonna hopefully lower some of the nonsense we've dealt with lately. So it's something that I'm gonna have this next year. So, I have an officer that's picked out and that we're gonna put in the school. So, I would hope that you guys could accept this and we can work out the details legally, but I think it's desperately needed for our community.
So I'm confused on the money. What did you, so we pay for,
Well, we pay, in our budget, we have a line item for the youth probation,
okay,
position.
and that's Deb's.
That's Deb's, but she's retiring.
Right.
So these are gonna be two different things.
Right.
So,
And we don't have that. We don't pay for two different things now.
well, we have the officer already
On
on payroll.
staff.
So is it gonna be an added position to your staff, or is it going to just be the same amount of officers?
I would like to add an extra position. Right now, we're not fully staffed, so, you know, we have to get fully staffed before we can start adding more positions, but it would be one of our current officers, and so they would be off the street.
Right.
But I'm hoping by next school year, we're gonna have more officers hired, so.
So then the money that the school is offering to pay
Would be towards that,
towards that
That officer.
position? Okay.
Right. So we're gonna still be paying for youth probation.
The sheriff's deal.
So it's two different,
Do we have the money? I mean, is it all there?
well, it's already in their budget.
And they're gonna get an additional 20,000, you're just gonna add it to what he's gonna get.
Well, the funds from the school would go to the police department's budget, right? Correct?
The
Okay,
revenue side, when we get revenue from them, yes, we would credit.
so if we're paying an officer $20 an hour, that 20,000 goes to us, and we pay the $20 an hour out of that too. Right?
It would just, yeah, I mean, they're not gonna get additional money.
Okay.
It's just gonna go into my budget, and then they'll be paid normally.
Okay.
It's something that we can look at, for grant wise that's out there available. Years ago, we had gotten a grant
Yeah.
and had an SRO out there for several years. And that grant went away and never was able to get that grant, so that officer basically absorbed into the department. That position went away. I know when Kelly came on, she was kind of like an SRO out there and made a good report for the kids. I know when we got some reports back, they thought that she was, probably one of the kids, you know, that, like a younger adult. But she made a pretty good rapport with them, and, you know, we've said in the last several years, meeting with them, that we needed something out there, but trying to see if there's a grant out there that would help pay for some of that position.
We can look into that. I think that, you know, down the road, I don't know how long, but it would be nice to have two SROs, so that the elementary school can be covered the majority of the time. We don't have a lot of calls out there, but they still need to have that rapport with officers and that protection. So, you know, I would like to have two that can go back and forth between the two schools. So, I would definitely be for looking into grants and funding that position that way.
Yeah, I think it's very important with just in the communication wise, and then not seeing that department as solely as a reprimand type department. They're there, hey, you know, they see them in a crisis potential situation, things that they can help them from digging in a deeper hole.
Right.
That's what we kind of thought too, when we had the one just walk through the schools. I mean, you know, it's not just a bad thing, it's a good thing, they can be good.
There's a lot of educational things that a police officer can do.
Yes.
And
Well, I'm all for it if we have, so one of your officers is gonna go there.
Correct.
There's training too, correct?
Well, yes.
I guess what we need to do is, we also need to look at, because I'm pretty sure when youth probation put in their letter, they were asking for more funds. But if they're not gonna be having that expense at the second office, we need to look at that too.
It sounds like, at this coming up tonight, I mean, I have a little bit of, information prior to the meeting. I was able to read the request and everything. But it seems like it might be best handled by the police committee and some education to the council members as to the benefits and, how we're gonna fund the position. I mean, cause you're already short-staffed, chief, I mean, I think that a school resources officer is important. And I think it would definitely be something that I would be in favor of, but it just seems like we need a little bit more research before we spend the money.
We are short-staffed, obviously. But what I've seen in the last several months is that a lot of our resources have gone to the school. I've spent weeks up there myself, investigating stuff and dealing with issues up there. So if we can curb some of that with putting an officer there, it's not gonna hurt us at all, because it's gonna keep guys actually on the road, working the community, instead of sitting at the school for days at a time. And I think it can keep some of the things that pour out into the community from the school, keep those kind of under wraps too, with having an officer there dealing with that on a daily basis.
So this is something that you feel strongly about, Chief?
Absolutely.
Well, then I would make a motion that we add a school resources officer position to the police department.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, any further discussion?
I mean, if we're already spending a large amount of time at the school, and this would be a way to nip it in the bud, then it seems that, you know, the common sense thing would be to go ahead and have some staff there that are able to respond to these sort of issues. Plus, it's a scary world, and it'd be nice to have that peace of mind that the children have somebody there that's trained.
I think it's a great thing too, because of what you said is happening anyway. I guess I was hoping I wasn't confusing everybody when I was talking about the probation officer and a different fund. So I will bring that up, I guess, at a later time. It's different than the police department, it's just she used to be in the school, and we were funding part of it for being at the school.
You were paying a third of her wages, right?
Right, so that's what I was talking in reference to, and the sheriff's department, that from my understanding, or from what I can remember, is they were asking for an increase for those services. So I think we need to revisit the sheriff's youth probation letter for an increase, not the police department's.
To be honest, Mayor, I was a little bit confused
Yeah.
because I thought they were gonna pull some of the funding from that position
Yeah, I do.
and put it towards the school resources officer. So I was a little bit confused
Well,
about
the
that
school
too.
may be doing that, I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
that's kind of what I got from what the school.
That's what I read in the letter.
Yeah, I'm just saying that we as the city pay for,
So now we'll be paying towards both.
that's what I was.
Understood.
Okay, so we have a motion and second, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Ms. Verbal, Sarah Bailey Ducks. She's not here, so we'll continue on to member reports. Number one is emergency management sirens. We did get an email from emergency management, Gilbert Nelson, in regards to that they have new sirens scheduled to be installed, and asking if the city was still interested in having emergency management give the city one of the new sirens to be placed in the city. This would be the one that is currently at the fire hall that is going to be moved somewhere. Installation is scheduled for May 30th, 31st, and June 1st and 2nd. So, I don't know if this whole council was here when this first came.
Not the old council.
Yeah.
I think two of them were here when we first started talking about potential locations.
I saw the whole map with the coverage areas and everything, but it's taken a long time to get to this point. So, and I'm not 100% what's going on, is that they're giving us one of the old ones to move in to town somewhere. I'm kind of confused.
Yeah, they bought some new ones to replace.
Just give us one of the new sirens to be placed in the city. In
They were
exchange
gonna
for tax
replace the
and
one at the fire hall with the new one.
Okay.
And when they were first looking at that one, they were wondering why the one at the fire hall was there. And we started looking at the coverage range and seeing if we wanted to move it somewhere within the different locations in the city to get more coverage on, the sound of the siren. We never did make a decision which way we wanted to go, but when we move forward, I think parts of this, probably should have some type of public meeting to get some input where they want to put them, because if we decided to put something somewhere, and they're gonna say, well, nobody ever told me that we were gonna put this here.
In
Now
the
I have to listen to
backyard.
this every time it goes off at noon.
I was thinking that we could probably put one in on Gray Boulevard or Grandview.
Sure, thanks a lot.
Either of the council.
It's probably
Is
bad, but
there
you can have
any
them all
areas
down.
that are sirens don't even go off?
I hear the siren, I'm in Gray.
Everywhere. So, I don't know.
Anybody that doesn't hear the siren?
I can't even hear one when it goes off of the.
That's why I suggested that we
We
place
should
one
not even
on
hear it,
Grandview Avenue. Cause I thought that way you'd be able to hear it better. Bucks.
What's your address?
Grant, you have it.
210 Grandview.
We could put it at 209 and
So is this something they will discuss later, cause I don't know where we would put one.
I don't either.
I know the last time we discussed it was a location up by Mondale Heights. And they're close to Grandview,
Just tells you what time it is.
western side, but.
Who cares? Tornado is a good.
I move that we table this until we have further information or a public hearing.
Town hall.
Table that.
Yeah, I like town hall.
We didn't even hear his installation.
Well, the one, I guess the one thing is, they do have the installation dates at the end of this month, the beginning of next month, so we would have to move.
I didn't know if we did coincide with those dates or.
That might be the installation of the current siren, if you gave us one to put wherever we wanted, obviously we're gonna have to put up a pole, the one that came from the fire hall. So we'd have to still have time to make our own decision where we wanted to put the one that was given to us.
Where are they moving on? Because isn't that covered when it painted this?
Yeah, the Painted Hills isn't really in the city, but I guess you're getting the notification that there's a tornado. But there is one also out by Volkers that kind of covers the western north side of Painted Hills.
It's the paint is all over. Okay, it's all over.
Sorry.
Can we do that again, that is the following?
Maybe fire, the fire committee, water, sewer, fire, emergency services, I don't know. Can you group it into fire?
Or would you guys be able to, if we did do that and we, assign this to the water sewer fire, can you guys meet quickly? It would be, Don, Tyrell, and Tom.
Okay.
Oh, you guys wanna figure out a day and time? or-
I'm easy, so I can meet whenever, but it sounds like Don's been pretty busy with work, so I don't know.
Hopefully things will slow down after the mid part of this week.
Do you have an LEPC meeting coming up too?
We had one scheduled for the 31st, but I won't be there, so they postponed it till like the first week or so of June.
I'm just wondering if that's something that could go.
We can discuss it, whether it be after this May 31st and June 1st install dates for these here. But I don't think, myself, I don't think we have a big push to make a decision on where we're gonna put it, but I really think, you know, if you're putting something in someone's neighborhood that hasn't been there for several years, and you put it there, and they didn't have a voice in it, we're gonna hear about it.
Yep.
Why weren't they informed?
Well, we three get together and kind of figure out an idea and then have the townhouse. So that's not good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, so any information on that or?
I just think that Gilbert's, the installation is scheduled. Do we know
Right.
for sure that, I mean, you're gonna check on that? Is that
Yeah.
You can check with him.
I mean, I don't know what that
Can we
means.
just tell Gilbert to drop it off and put it up when we want it?
I'll let you guys come up with that idea. Okay, so moving you under Mayor Council is Heritage Park update. Dave Ehlers and myself met with, Ogden Driscoll, last week. Discussing some other funding possibilities. We are gonna try to schedule a meeting with, all four representatives, Sherry, Chip Nyman, Alan Slagle, and Ogden Driscoll. Some of the ideas we have is, making it more of a visitor center idea, which would fall under YDOT, which would take it away from city crew. You like that?
I like that.
So that's
Oh,
one.
Greg.
So that's one of the things that, is a possibility. I don't wanna get anybody's hopes up or not, but it would be a way of funding it and having it without having to get a match from the city and, putting it on the city crew's shoulders.
Is there any possibilities of when you could have this meeting?
Well, we've only talked with Slagle and Driscoll, and both of them have some good funding ideas, but power and numbers and having all four representatives fighting for it down at the state level would be beneficial for us, plus getting WIDOT on board. And the fact that they don't have a visitor center, anywhere really around us. I mean, you got Mill Creek, which is 82 miles away, that there's a good possibility being where we're at. And, kind of like, they use the term gateway to Black Hills and watching, that, feasibility study that was done and how many people come through our area to go to the next area. It's very helpful towards possibly getting it funded in that way.
So I have one question, Madam Mayor. Would that affect the way that people from our community would be able to use the facility?
No.
So say that it went through and they still followed the same plan and they put in the Veterans Memorial and everything, the Veterans group would still be able to use it? If they put in the splash pad, I mean, I guess that's kind of a no-brainer that people would still be allowed to use that.
It would be just like if you were on 90 and stopped at the visitor center over, that they just put it in for there.
And then, I mean, as far as putting in kiosks that promote Newcastle, like was part of the plan when Ann and myself were on the steering committee. I mean,
It would be, basically like visitor center. So those kiosks is people who come here, they get information on what's in the area. So all of that would still remain the same, it's just the funding
would come through Wyoming instead of us having to fund it.
Correct. That's a possibility. We still don't have, I mean, we still have to meet with YDOT and all of that, but those were some of the ideas that were thrown at us. So I just wanted to give an update on that.
Thank you. That's a
I'm
good.
just bummed I didn't hear about the meeting. Me and Ann have been really actively involved in this. And
Dave Ehlers set it up and called me that morning asking if it was okay to meet, and that's how I was aware of it, so.
oh, I guess Dave forgot to call us then.
But we will, I'll definitely make sure we get it out if we get the meeting with the 4 representatives. We just have to be careful on who all attends. So if we need to make it a special meeting, we can make it a special meeting just so we don't have a quorum. So, but I will let you know as soon as I know.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any old business? Going to department head, police chief Chuck Wolf.
I have a few things. One is, I had one of my officers approach me about wanting to lease one of our patrol vehicles to commute, because he's living up by Sundance, and so he commutes every day. And he was inquiring if we could lease the vehicle to him for the commute, because I don't allow him to drive that far. Like everybody else has take-home vehicles. And so he was asking if he could, and this might be a legal issue that Dublin can work through, but he would pay the city X amount of dollars per month to be able to drive his vehicle to his current residence. He is attempting to sell that and moving closer to town. But I wanted to throw that out there for the council to think about and maybe make a decision on.
And this is his patrol car, correct?
Correct.
Wow.
That might get into some almost like the public perception deal that I can see is when they see it going through Upton or Moorcroft, it'll be, why is a city car or vehicle doing in other communities? So like I said, there might be some questions that might come out of that.
Does he just come down 585 and 85 to count, and not have to go through other towns?
I believe that's the way it goes. I don't know the exact route that he takes, but I would assume that's what it is.
It's also the use of the city.
Yeah.
Is it a stupid wicket?
I'd have to look into that, chief, but I can get on that.
Because I think we're going to run into stuff like that with getting good officers. We only have so many that we can hire out of the community. Our pot's kind of bare. And so we have to think of some alternative ideas to get people. So
I don't know off the top of my head, chief, but I thought we are using taxpayer equipment.
had to live within
Yeah.
5 or
It's not in the, it's not actually within his, he's not using it during the time period of his duties. So I'll have to look into that.
And that would be another thing, if it's, an accident, who's covered and, liability for replacing the car and the driver.
Yeah, because he's not using it during the time period of his working. So the insurance
I know
companies would probably.
There's been several times been questioned, the way the sheriff does some things with his officers. He's got a few of them that's over by Pine Haven that have to drive back and forth, and they see that vehicle, county vehicle, come back and forth. And some in South Dakota, not too much ruckus, but you always hear that talk, well, why did the Weston County vehicle being out of the county? And with a city vehicle, I can see the more talk being the city, but I think that, to me, I'm running through some questions in my mind already of potential things that I would need answered.
The other thing is that
I don't know exactly who we have to insure some vehicles, they might not allow that.
Say it one more time.
So the insurance that we have on those vehicles, I would be surprised if they would say that they would insure an officer, an off-duty officer during review. I don't know that. I know certain cities have, I think Gillette's a good example, they have take-home vehicles, I think, but they have, they park it at their house sometimes for certain reasons, but that's, I don't know what that looks like insurance-wise.
How does that work with you guys?
They're only allowed to take them home, other than myself, they're only allowed to take them home during their on calls. The only two vehicles that are driven on a daily basis is the landfill operator's pickup and my pickup. Everybody else leaves their vehicles at the shop until they become their own.
Okay, well, Dublin will look into that.
The other things here kind of go hand in hand. So our negotiations with the county in Upton have gone very well lately. We would like to have a meeting, a special meeting on the 24th of May at 6 p.m. at the fairgrounds, where we can propose kind of where we're going and what we've been going over the last several weeks with the county and with Upton. I really think we're going in a good direction. I think there's been great cooperation from everybody involved in the meetings. And I'm pretty happy where we're at. We've been meeting several weeks. We've been meeting 2 times a week. So I think we're getting some things hammered out that I think it's going to put everybody in a good position. So with that, one of the things we've gone over is pay for dispatchers around here. And if we would go to some type of board, then, there has to be pay increase for them. We are the lowest paid, I don't know about the state, but anywhere around this area, by at least $2 an hour. Currently, we are in desperate need of dispatchers. At the end of the month, we'll have 3 dispatchers. We're going to have to come up with some interesting ways to keep everything covered. An idea that I have is to increase their wage by $2 an hour, so we're up and we can compete with Lusk, and we can't compete with Campbell County, but with the areas around here, we have to be competitive. And up until this point, I hadn't looked into where everybody else was being on the pay scale, where they're being paid at. So, and I think this would be an easier way if we transition into a joint powers board, or however that's going to look, with the pay. So, I would like the council's approval to raise the dispatcher's rate, and hopefully that would just be a temporary thing until we get everything else on board and we start going towards a joint powers type situation. I don't know how quickly we're going to be able to get all that stuff ironed out. I know that we're working pretty hard and fast on it, so I would like to see that in the next few months, where we can get everything signed and everybody's approval, and so that's where I'm at that. And Doug, if you feel anything in that I might have missed, but it was shocking to me to see the pay that we're paying our folks and where other counties are paying. So
One thing I would just have to say was, when the chief said that we're the lowest in the area, that isn't hyperbole, that's 100% true. That includes Niobrara County, includes quite a few places, and just in general, I realize that there are budget constraints and everything else, but the dispatch, as much as for whatever reason the state doesn't necessarily recognize it as being, a massive interest that needs to be, taken care of, it is. Just sheer force is a safety issue. And so I agree with the chief in terms of the just raising the rates basically. I think it would attract more people and give us the opportunity to actually have hopefully the full dispatch center built.
And the special meeting is on the 24th at what time?
At 6 p.m., it's gonna be at the fairgrounds,
May 24th.
May 24th.
I think it makes sense.
Correct.
Chief, you're trying to increase the base wage, or you're trying to increase all of their wages by $2?
We can look at them. I think the current employees right now, I think we should increase everybody's wage by $2, which would raise the base. But I think we'll get into some situations where we're raising the base and we're not raising anybody else. And so I've been in those departments where they keep raising the base up, and then you have new people making the same as a 5-year person, and
That causes heartburn.
that causes, and then we'll start losing employees, and I don't want to see that.
So if we were to increase the base rate right now, would it be more than what anybody's making right now?
I have to look through, I don't know if I have everybody's number. You might have that in the email, about when I know that we. It's really close.
I think that we've identified that all of our departments are underpaid. We've already approved pay increases for the city shop, for the city office. We also provided pay increases for the police department. So I think it would only make sense to give our dispatchers some more money. So I would move that we increase the current dispatchers' wages by $2.
Can I, we did raise dispatchers along with the police department.
We did?
Yeah.
We did, but they were at $14 an hour when we did that.
Oh, geez.
And I know I was just over in dispatch talking to our dispatchers that were there, and I was telling them, hey, we need to make sure you guys are out recruiting as much as you can. And I didn't tell them that I was coming here and talking about this. And they said, well, when somebody can work at a gas station and make more money, they're not going to leave the gas station and come here.
My motion stands.
The top pay for top dispatcher right now is $21.43. When we looked at that.
That's Melissa.
Correct.
Do we have a second?
Okay, I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Further discussion? What was the lowest?
Lowest was $16.19.
And was that after or before?
This one was before.
And what was the raise we gave before? So
I
that,
don't have that written here.
So being that we're in the discussion phase, without our dispatchers, we don't have a dispatch.
We got nothing.
And it's a difficult job. It's very demanding of them mentally. It's hard to find dispatchers. So if we're not paying a rate that's going to entice people to either move to our area or want to be a dispatcher, then we don't have a dispatch. So I think it's important that we compensate our employees in a manner fitting to the position, the important position that they occupy.
there's no question in that. In your discussions, is that kind of across the board, they all agree? So if there was a joint powers board, they know the increase in salary?
Yes. And, yes.
Everyone's agreed to that. That's the, I mean, it's not as though we would be,
If it didn't go to a joint powers board, it's good in your budget.
Stacy and I would have to talk about that.
I think you've got quite a bit in there.
Okay.
Definitely need to look, but I see things where the salaries are in there.
I really think it's one of those things that we, and I'm not just saying this because it's my department, but we might have to cut other things because I think this is a necessity. Because when you call 911, you want a dispatcher to answer the phone. And, I'm not trying to have a scare tactic, but we need dispatchers very, very bad. And if we're paying at the bottom of the bucket, we're gonna get at the bottom of the bucket. And I don't want that for this community.
I was at the bottom of the bucket when I started. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign.
Thank you. And so is this gonna be on the next paycheck, or how are we gonna?
Oh, should I have that in motion? My bad.
I should have said something.
Do you need a review?
Should I rescind my motion and,
Just have an effective date.
okay,
What's the next pay period?
we already voted on it. How's that work? Point of order?
That's the next page.
Rescind.
Effective next
Yeah, we
next
And
pay.
amend it.
You could go to amend the motion, or you could just make a new motion to recognize the last one and say that there's an effective date on.
The next payroll, which is the 26th, you said?
I would like to make a motion to add to the motion that just passed in regard to dispatcher wages increasing by $2, that it be effective May 26th, next pay cycle.
My second will go along with that.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Anything else?
I don't have anything else. If you guys have any questions about dispatch or something that we could answer.
Where are we at, chief?
I think, I really do. I think we're getting very close. We're in negotiations, so we're trying to get everything laid out before this meeting on the 24th, and then present it to everybody. And I think we'll be real close to having everything worked out. There seriously has been great working relationship. We put our differences aside, and the meetings have been very pleasant and very, we've got a lot of work done. We really have. So I think we'll be yes. I think we'll have it worked out here really, really soon.
So is this a town hall type meeting for the town, or is this for the city and county? Us and them?
I would say it's a town hall. I mean,
It's for everyone.
Everybody.
Yeah, it should be, especially, it should be for everyone. We do have to get that advertised, though. Because there will be forums. Will you take care of them? Okay. What was that?
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, you already said it.
Oh, okay. Alright, so Stacy will get that advertised.
but we definitely, we've messed around with dispatch way too long. And it's time to
That's right.
put our differences aside and move on.
Thank you for all your work on it.
And I think we're gonna do it, so.
Good.
I was with Upton last week, went to the Upton, Sergeant Fields and I went over there and talked to their council. And, like I told them, they wanted to talk about the financial side of it, which is, that's everybody's concern. And the operating cost will probably be more than what our current operating cost is, with how we run it right now. But some of the increases will be the pay. a fully staffed department that can function well. So, but we're working on those things as we speak. The 50 pair issue, hopefully we'll have some of that hammered out Wednesday. And I think Dublin's drafting a contract that is not specific to the 50 pair, so that we can have the contract in place. We can start digging and getting some of that worked out as soon as we know exactly what is the best option to put the two buildings together. Just talking to Motorola, they said that there might be other options out there than the 50 pair that might service better. So some of the other stuff we're doing is we're going through some of our equipment, and we're looking at our equipment and what the county has and seeing who has the best equipment. You know, some of our monitors and stuff, or our stations are better than theirs. I don't know why, they're like 3 months newer, I think, but they're apparently better than what the county has. But they have like a recorder that's going to be better than what we had set up. So we're going to try to use all the equipment the best that we can to have the best product, and utilize all the equipment the best way that we can. So we're not wasting, we don't have new equipment sitting in a closet somewhere. So.
Anything else?
Don't have anything.
Okay, any questions for Chief? All right, Dublin Hughes, City Attorney.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the first thing I have quite a bit, is the Union Telephone site lease, which is up for renewal. I believe, if I remember correctly, the new CPI inflation calculated price for that lease over the next, is it next 10 years, Stacy? 10 years. It's $52,000. I calculated that and then didn't trust myself until Stacy confirmed that I'd actually done proper math for once. And so basically what this is I drafted a letter to send back to them just for the renewal of the site lease, for the council's approval.
It's good to know.
That's what inflation's done, yeah. I went and calculated that. I was sitting there thinking that it was impossible that it was that. And then I went and looked, and they didn't have data from May and April, so you use March. And every single calculator I used got the same exact number. So inflation, it's 10 years, but $20,000 in 10 years.
A lot. Do we have a motion?
This will be for the initial 10 years latest, right? For the 32,200. So I make the motion that we would approve the 10-year term lease for $32,200 to Union Wireless. Union. Oh, the 52? Or the
32 was in
or this was the
2003.
initial 10.
So their initial was that 32, but in the contract they stipulated
Inflation.
to calculate it on the CPI for every 10 years for each renewal.
Okay. So then to accept that in the equivalent of the $52,907.56 for the 10-year lease for the Union Telephone Company.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Right.
All those opposed, same sign. Do you have the, well, it's not a copy for this one. So just send them. Yeah.
Moving on, 3 new ordinances for the council. There's some amendments that need to be done on these. First off that I have is ordinance number 2, series 2023 for water rates. They were pretty specific, so we just went from, I think it was, they had a few different breakdowns for different uses, and this is just a flat rate for any 1,000 gallons.
It used to be $13.30 per 2,000.
That's our current rate.
Yeah.
First 2 gallons or less is $13.30. The next 3,000 gallons prorated on usage is $4.21 per 1,000 gallons. This is within the city. Over 5,000 gallons prorated on usage is $3.49 per 1,000 gallons. And then outside the city, this first 2,000 is $21. Next 3,000 gallons prorated on usage $7.32 per 1,000. And then over 5,000 gallons prorated on usage is $5.46 per 1,000 gallons. So we went to a flat rate for both. And I also did some formatting because some of this was killing me.
So, while you guys are looking that up, I'm just curious, when was the last time that we raised water, or any rates in Newcastle?
The last, yeah,
2019?
yep.
Okay, prior to my time on council.
We've actually done it twice. And then mainly is to, when we're going for grants, the state looks at
It's
how
part
are
of
we,
being able to apply for a grant.
and these are considered our enterprise funds. So if we have to pay for these funds basically out of these money that we get, we have to pay for themselves.
I felt like our rates have been extremely low for a long time. And having worked at the city shop and seeing our infrastructure, and then sitting on this council and seeing the state of our current infrastructure in this town, I think it's important that we raise rates. But I just feel a little bit blindsided. I didn't know I was gonna be coming in to talk about ordinances at this meeting. I guess it wasn't on the agenda. I didn't know that they were already prepared and ready to go.
It's very efficient, isn't it?
Madam Mayor, if I may,
Yes.
what we did was try and flatten the rate. So people that use more water before would pay less money. Where with this method here, people use more water, pay the same no matter what. Person uses 1,000 gallons of water, uses 1,000 gallons, pays for 1,000 gallons. Person uses 5,000 gallons, pays for 5,000 gallons. It should generate a little more money for us, but to me, this is step one to move to a better rate in the future. We can't make the jump all at once. Our average rate is around $20 a month per household. The state average is $43 per month. give you some history.
So it's, I know you saw me at the diner today, and I was speaking with a representative from Rural Water. I was invited to a meeting. And she used the financials that she got from Clerk Haggerty, Treasurer Haggerty, and the rate that she actually came up with for a suggested rate for our community was $41.85 as the base rate, without the addition of any water. So just a flat rate of $41.85 and with a suggested 50 cents additionally per 1,000 gallons. But you know, I work for an organization that does rate setting studies. I'm not really good at it, so it was really good information today to sit down with Kathy and talk about this. You can't fix our infrastructure if you don't have an adequate rate and if we're underpaying in our enterprise accounts. So the other rate that she came up with based solely on our number of taps and the amount of fixed and variable income was put us at $53 as the flat rate with no addition of any water. So I mean, the other one came in a little bit lower, but what's hard for the public to digest, and I work with a lot of communities, is when you jump it all at once on them. So trying to determine a favorable rate that's fair and doesn't throw it all on the citizens all at once is an important thing, right?
Well, and that's kind of what we were trying to do with this, is get it level first, over the next 3 or 4 years, increase slowly. So it isn't a big bite out of the budget right off the bat. I mean, rates we're requesting that rates increase over the next few years, rather than all at once. Instead of making a 45 or 50% jump or 100% jump, spread that over the next few years.
And then one additional thing I need to mention to the council is that, you know, the representative from Rural Water that I sat with today told me that, you know, she gave me a rough estimate, you know, and I know that Stacy and Greg worked pretty hard on this with Dublin to get these drafted. But her suggestion was that we consult with a professional rate setter. It would cost our community some money, but the professional rate setter can get into the weeds and, you know, determine things like, you know, how it would affect people with fixed incomes and like find a way to adjust all the rates so that they're suitable for the function that they serve. But anyway, that was her suggestion to the council. But I know this rate setter, he goes to rural water conferences and he does a really good job. But he also demands a high price for the work that he does. And I don't know about everyone else, but I get the shivers every time we mention spending money. You know, when we have these council meetings right now, it's concerning to me. So to throw out that there's a professional out there that's willing to do it for a fee, kind of gives me a little bit of heartburn. But I don't know. I don't know how to proceed. I think this is worth the shot, though.
We have a motion on ordinance number 2, series 2023.
I'd make a motion that we approve the ordinance number 2, series 2023 on first reading.
Council, apologies. I would like to add at the end of each of these ordinances as we go, other than the sewer rate, that said rate may be increased or decreased at any time by resolution of the governing body.
So that would be at the end of,
Be at the end of this here, after 1, and it would just be a stand-in sentence. And sewer's fine, and garbage will just put in a new section.
so that would be all of them, all
Yes.
3 and all
Well,
4.
except for
Yeah,
ordinance number 3.
so
It
2
has
and
it in
4.
there, yeah. It has it in it's already in the ordinance.
Okay, so that'd be with the added wording of, water consumption on this particular ordinance can be, added or increased by the governing body by resolution, right? The rate, yeah.
And that would be on resolution or ordinance number 4 as well, right?
Yeah, ordinance number 2 and ordinance number 4.
So we have a motion with the said rate may be increased or decreased at any time by resolution of the governing body added. Do we have a second?
For the sake of the discussion, I would second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Another important point that was brought to my attention today was, when the community pays by 1,000-gallon increments, then it's possible for the community to conserve us out of business. So if the community decides that they don't want to pay that $7 per 1,000, then they just quit watering their yard, or they slow down on their water consumption, and then that in turn will influence the amount of revenue that we're bringing in. So I personally feel like if people are gonna pay for their water and they're already watering their lawns and using the water, that they're going to continue to do so. But it is something else to take into account with this rate structure, is that people could just stop using water as much as they can, and it's gonna hurt our pocketbook when they pay by the 1,000 gallons. So without having a base that reflects our expenditures.
I agree. You know, in the last couple times we've raised rates, we've had a few people in that's on fixed income, and we heard from those people, and it's tough to sit here and raise rates. But I look back at the years prior, before I was on the council, when people sit in these seats trying to keep an election, wanted to keep their seats, so they wanted to make everybody happy so I can get elected again. You know, to me, it's not a favorable decision. It's not something that when you go out to the public to talk to them that it's a favorable decision, but and when I'm sitting here, I look at this as almost like a business deal that we're trying to run and keep the infrastructure for the city, and we see that this is failing. And how do we pay for that if we don't make money in to pay for it? In order to do that, we have to raise the rates to do that.
And I like raising it slowly because
Yes.
if I could annex in one of my places of business, I would, because they jumped over 100%
without notice.
I do like the idea that you had mentioned that having someone review, what the rate should be, what it affects, does to the community. Because we hear about it, especially the fixed income, so that type of deal, I would want to probably maybe look at that, what it would cost in that study, what that return is doing.
Am I right in thinking that this line here that says water rates shall be a flat charge of $7 per thousand for the average in the state of Wyoming, that number is $43? The flat rate, flat charge of $43 per thousand gallons?
Yes, the rate structures are completely different all the way across the state. So it makes it very difficult to compare. The average in the state is $43. Looking at what our citizens use.
For the flat rate.
Service.
For the service, for the flat rate that you would pay,
Okay.
not for the usage. So this is making it so it's a flat rate of $7 per thousand gallons for every 1,000 gallons you use. So if you use 7,000 gallons, that's $49.
With the numbers we had to look at, the average household used 5,294 gallons per month.
So I'd put them up around $35-ish, yeah.
So maybe we shouldn't do it by the 1,000 gallons, because we don't want to lose our customers, we'll just do it by the hookup.
If we, looking at the numbers, and granted I'm not the best, I think Dublin's probably better at math than I am for sure. But when we looked at it, it would actually generate, using the numbers we had in the past, around $158,000 more a year.
This.
At the average rate of 5,294 gallons a month.
I mean, I'm all in favor of raising the rates because I don't think that we're sustainable the way that it's set up right now.
We're not.
I just, and, being that I'm personally not good at crunching numbers for a rate study, I mean, I almost feel like it would be important to have a professional, no offense, a professional look at this and really get into the weeds and generate some numbers, and another thing that, a professional could do, like, I'll say his name, Carl Brown, is that he could set it up so that we could implement it over time. So it wouldn't just be 100% increase on the bill. At the next billing cycle that we pass this, it would be implemented in stages if we asked them to do that.
How much does he charge? Do you have any idea?
Well, my only community that I was working with that decided to go with Carl Brown was a community of 560 people, and he charged them $12,000 to do the study. So, but they opted to go with him because they asked me if I thought I was really good at rate studies, and I was honest with them. So I said, I can provide you a rough number, but I can't get into the weeds like this man who's built a career off of doing it. So the mayor of that town opted to go with Carl Brown and get a rate study done.
I think maybe we should have like Stacy call in and just see, get a bid or something. Would that be reasonable? See what do you think about a town of 3,300?
$12,000 for 500 people.
Yeah, and I don't know how he bases his studies, his costs. I don't know anything about his business. That's just the one community that I talked to.
Have we had any contact with Kathy about the rate study at all?
I wants to pass me on Carl's, information, I'm happy to contact him.
Do we want to table this then until we have that, to see if we're gonna do a study, or do we wanna?
Let's table it through the
Because we do
summer,
have the said rate may be increased
because I
or
can
decreased.
water my yard.
Actually, I have his contact information as well, so.
Okay.
So we can decide to either table, or like I said, we added that said rate may be increased or decreased at any time or resolution of the governing body, so we can do this now if we wanted to, as we're looking at having a study done. Or we can just wait to see if we are going to do a study.
Point of order, I don't know, we have a motion and a second on the floor, so I don't know, how we proceed. If we want to table, move to table.
You can move to table. Do you want to do that?
I personally believe it would be better to table than let's do this and then we're gonna drag, do the back and forth.
So the table is until we have, until we know if we're gonna proceed with a study or not. Number three.
Okay. So ordinance number 3, series 2023, this is the sewer service charges. I think, council, just to clarify, I used to bold what I changed, but I was starting to get the feeling maybe that in our next book that comes out front of you end up having text that was bold, so I didn't want that to happen. So let me get there to find that. Okay, so the change comes from section A1. We currently have first 2,000 gallons or less at $15.33 per month. Over 2,000 gallons prorated on amount furnished is $2.63 per 1,000 gallons. And this changes it to 1,000 gallons is $9 per month.
So that study that this guy did it include the sewer as well? Water and sewer, or just water?
I believe, Madam Mayor, that he also furnishes rates for sewer as well. I think
Is
he,
that over and above the charge, or is that included?
You would probably have.
I'm not, again, Councilman Downs, I don't know his business, I don't know how he charges.
Madam Mayor, we can visit with you and report back to the next meeting. I would like to table this one as well.
So let's table ordinance number 3 as well to see if council is okay with that.
Okay, the last ordinance we have is ordinance number 4, 2023 regarding garbage collection by the city. And I did go through and I reformatted the entire section. So the table's different on this. Obviously the rates are different as well.
So most of the can pickups are gonna be the 95 gallon rate. You're gonna have 300 gallon in most of your business locations. And what was the previous amount? Cause this was $20 per collection per week on the 95.
So For the 95 gallon capacity can within the city, it was $16.75, I believe, per month.
It's in the written part of it.
You have a lot of those 300-gallon cans out, right?
What's that?
We have a lot of those 300-gallon things out there?
Yes, I don't remember how many exactly.
There's four in my house.
There's several businesses that use multiple 300s versus more pickups.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of varies. We allow them to have the option of more pickups or more cans, either way, however they want to do it. Unfortunately, this is another area that we have significant expense coming up between the landfill 1 remediation and the landfill 2 closing. We're gonna get hit pretty hard with some pretty hefty bills. So,
Is there an end in sight, Greg? I mean, is Weston County, solid waste district doing anything? Are they moving in any direction at all?
I haven't been to any of the meetings, just what was printed in the paper, and that was a bid for, or a request for bid. They did request bids to start building the landfill. The thing is, once they open theirs and we close ours, that's where our expense comes, is with the closing of ours. And between landfill 1 remediation, they're talking multi-million-dollar project. Landfill 2 closure can be a multi-million-dollar project as well. I'm guessing within the next 2 years, we'll be looking at both these projects.
Well, I was in the know with the landfill stuff before the mayor pulled me off of that committee. I don't understand why I was removed from that committee.
I think
Yeah, just looking to see where we pick up outside the city limits. That's all that next in on their side.
where all the admin, that's all,
Greg, I was curious about this too. So outside the city limits, we have garbage trucks that pick up outside of the city limit?
Yes.
And where's that at usually?
It varies. If you go out west of town, past 7th Avenue, it looks kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. There's places that are, places that aren't. So, we have a couple past gradation.
Busy golf course.
I don't know if the golf course is in or out. I would have to look at the zoning.
There's a few up on North 95.
Yeah. Our camp is actually annexed into the city. So we are annexed. And I think they have either 15 or 18 garbage cans. 300 garbage cans.
was the last time the rates were raised on the garbage? 2019 as well?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'd like to see the detail.
So it's basically doing $3.25 per 95 gallon. That's gonna be most of the city.
I think there's a typo on column 2, line 2.
You think?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Sure don't want that second hand. Second backup.
You better go to 3 instead of 2.
Yeah, go get 3 cheaper. Several $100.
Good catch.
Good catch, yeah. Okay, so now what?
We're gonna fix that.
What's next, Your Honor?
And we'll have to fix that ordinance before we can. do anything there.
They're on order.
Who's next out?
We're just waiting for them to come in. We ordered 3 of them. We're gonna make sure they fit. Make them fit.
What's the rate right
Same
now?
and that Excel spreadsheet, wow,
What's the rate right now for?
copy paste.
For garbage or residential, the 95s.
1675.
I mean, what we'll do is we'll just, so Stacy,
Yeah, I was gonna say, was that my,
because that Excel spreadsheet is,
was messed up.
I guess, but
Well, we can just, it's 19% of the old rate.
Cause it's 20.
So the old rate was
1675.
63. Wrong. Yeah, that would have been interesting to have a citizen come in and getting 2 pickups. $30 4.
Should be 194.08.
It's what?
194.08.
listed on, correct?
Hope so.
Do we wanna wait and then
I think they, the rest of them look like they actually climb normally, but that one little thing that was huge.
we
But
can table this one too, and make sure it's done. Since we still have to make that addition on,
Okay, so we'll table this as well, just to make sure that the tables are correct. And then that'll give him, also time to add in the said rate, if he increase or decrease by governing body. Okay. Anything else for you?
that's it, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, any questions for city attorney?
I emailed and then printed the estimate, for the website design by Sagebrush Marketing. And then I also included a little, refresher on what was, available in the other proposed, design packet from the Ascent Digital. So the total rate, obviously for the total setup rate for Sagebrush is the $5,250, opposed to the $4,900 from Ascent. For Sagebrush, her ongoing continual occurring fee is $150 a month, opposed to the $69 per month by the other company. And I'm assuming, you guys all received the email I forwarded from Bob Bonner as well, stating that this company would be working with and for him, out of the newsletter journal.
What is this, the actual people doing the work here to live?
There, on that, Tom, it looks like there was, I believe, a Colorado address possibly on there somewhere. Headquartered in Durango, Colorado.
Thank you. Is this something where we're gonna decide tonight?
If the council would so desire.
Well, all things considered, and looking at the two bids, I move that we accept Sagebrush Marketing's bid for the website.
You said this other one was 4,000 what?
4,900, and then there's the monthly cost of 69.
59 or 60?
69, it's on the back part of it. You might have it.
Oh, there it is, okay. And we are looking at doing a different website, right?
Yeah.
So, and what I'm reading in this, Bob was saying this is actually gonna be a local business and just outside experts, right?
Yeah, kinda goes through his office, and he lives in Colorado too.
Right.
So the one we have now is not user friendly and it's not, up to the left. And then we could ask Mr. Vaughn more questions if we need to. But we're not gonna get a second on the other.
So last time, we kind of talked about the website. How would it benefit the citizens? Weren't we talking, wasn't there some kind of a portal for billing or something like that?
We already have a tab where they can, click and go, and it refers to the payment site. But right now, we don't have access really to make our own changes and things like that, so that was really important. And then just, having it more user-friendly. Right now, we have to scroll clear down to the bottom to almost be able to click on anything to get any information.
It's not very aesthetically pleasing, and some of it's kind of clunky, like it just doesn't look very good. I know, right? I mean, the packet that you provided me before had me pretty excited. I mean, it looked really good. And it would be better, in my opinion, as a town to present ourselves more professionally.
So do we see any big difference between the two,
Well, you have $69 per month.
other than price?
I mean, would it be possible for, us to invite these folks in to give us some kind of a presentation? Almost like a job interview, so we can see what they have to offer and maybe it'll sway. Because right now I feel like I personally am kind of hung up on this.
I can definitely contact Bob and Jen. And obviously Jen lives here in town, Bob may have to do Zoom, but.
Well, I'd like to have the person that's actually gonna be doing the website. Bob is just a phone call guy.
Yeah, I can set something up.
Okay, thanks, Stacy.
I like the sagebrushes, how they put these out, they're gonna put each section in here and then looking at the other one. How are they incorporating something similar to this? It's already currently on the website now.
That's kind of what I was asking, what's the big difference between the two there?
So we'll contact them.
Thank you.
My other thing is, I had emailed out budget numbers last week. Did anybody have any questions, concerns? Anything that you discussed on that?
Well, after tonight, has your budget changed?
Well, and unless I'm directed, we'll, probably leave in the youth services allocation that is in there currently. But some of that may change. I don't know if the county will, because the county actually sends in the numbers. and the billing for youth services. So I don't know if they'll try to, I don't know if there's that'll try to go to half versus a third if the school district isn't gonna pass, to give them their money. I don't know what that'll look like.
Maybe we need to find that out. Does somebody have to do this in June?
Well, we have our allocation set for our budget, so, and I will, dig through some files in the, office as well and see if there's an agreement that may be outdated and old with these services. There's nothing been updated since I've been there, so.
Maybe
I
that's
will look into
something
that.
we need to have the attorney draw up or look at.
And I'll dig through stuff tomorrow, but I'll learn if I find anything, I'll forward it on to you.
When we have $1 million from the reserve included in our funds, do we have anything left in reserve at all?
We do.
Like
Like right now, I believe.
$1.98?
No, our reserve account right now, which is our sweeps account, it kind of goes back and forth, filtering in from the general checking account, and then anytime that balance is over $300,000, that extra sweeps into the reserve account. Currently, I believe there's about $3 million in there. I would have to double check and give you a real number, so.
Thank you.
But that is all I have.
Thanks, Stacy.
Any other questions for Stacy? Gravestone?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I reviewed the specs for the asphalt recycler, and I would recommend that we approve the purchase of the asphalt recycler. The only specification that does not meet our specifications is the fuel tank. We specified 80 gallons, and the machine provides a 75-gallon tank, so.
So we already got that motion, we were ready, so.
We'll take it up, pick it up.
Anything else, Greg?
Yes, Robert Alk, he has met his probationary period of employment as of 5/9/23. On his evaluation, I recommend Bob for a full-time permanent position with a 50-cent raise, effective May 9th.
I move that we give him the permanent employment and a 50-cent raise.
Second.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
The phase 2 of the Well 5 project, which is the pump improvements 2020. We are setting a meeting at some point in the next few weeks to go through the 90% plans and finalize everything before we go to bid. So we're getting closer there. The Lagoon Cell Mead Cleaning Project, we're at substantial completion. We're all meeting tomorrow to finalize the substantial completion and hopefully get that one done in the next week or so. And begin the advertising. The water master plan, we're having a kickoff meeting this week to begin that project. Landfill 1 remediation, we're going to set a public meeting in the near future before June 26th anyway, to let the public know what's going on and what's intended in this project. The lead and copper road revisions, we've started some records research. to look through our past construction records and see if we can't weed out some more of the service lines that need to be inspected. The South Summit water main replacement project, we've had some hiccups with scheduling the contractor. Due to the nature of that line and its tendency to failure in about 6 to 7 months, we are going to look at putting down temporary water service lines and shutting that line off in the next week. Most likely tomorrow we'll begin that. It means they'll have some reduced watering for a while. They'll have pipelines laying in their yards until we complete the project. This line has a tendency to break about every 6 to 7 months, and we're at 7 months right now from the last break.
So where are we talking?
South Summit, basically between Oak and Cedar is where it would be.
I'm glad to see you were getting that one done.
Well, and this is going to be a temporary thing, but it is going to be, the temporary lines are going to last longer than what we had really wanted. But due to some issues with the contractor, they had to push back the construction start.
How far back did that have to be?
June,
To June?
sometime in June he's going to start. We're waiting to get his schedule to see exactly when. I really can't answer that question just yet. Other than that, I sent out the reports if there's any questions on the reports.
On the report, what do you call the digging and stuff that's going on by the park, up at the Dow Park?
That's Dow Park restroom replacement.
Okay, is that,
Should be on there.
okay. And how close is that? First of all, how come we had to do that? What was wrong with the bathroom as it was?
It's a train wreck.
Okay,
We keep getting leaks in the walls, the sewer keeps plugging up. There's issues with the automatic flushing
Just
systems, the
replace
lights, the thing smells. It's just, it's a 60 or 70-year-old building.
okay,
So
just wondered.
we're starting to see some shift in the building itself with some cracking in the walls.
Probably been a 5-year plan for the Wyoming community gas money that we've been getting.
Oh, okay, I just,
Put it towards this bathroom
And
upgrade.
then we received a 50-50 grant,
Right.
so half of it's paid for.
I just didn't know.
I was contacted by a couple of concerned citizens as to why we needed to move the location of the building. I understand that we needed to replace it, and having cleaned the building when I worked for the shop, I understand why, we needed to replace it, but it was also, when I tried to explain it to them as well, but I didn't know exactly where the building was being moved. They told me that there was street cuts there and everything, but when the sewer mains back up, then all the sewage comes bubbling out of the building. So was that another of the motivating factors for moving the building over?
Not as much as, the biggest one was getting closer to the playground equipment, honestly. The next one was we have where it sits now, where the sidewalk, handicap sidewalk runs up to it. That's a low spot in the curve, and we always get build up right there, which makes it difficult for people with wheelchairs to access it using the handicap ramp. We don't know exactly when this building is going to be delivered. The contractor, again, can't tell us anything other than it's going to be sometime this year. So we wanted a functioning bathroom while we waited, while we prepared for the new one and built the new one. Instead of having tear down the old building and basically have 2 blue rooms sitting there, 2 porta pots sitting there all summer long, or who knows how long until the contractor would get here with the building. The better option was to move it because we did have to increase the service water and sewer service size in order to accommodate the new building. So we opted to move the building to a new site, keep the other one functioning while we wait on the new building to show up.
What kind of building's a new one?
It's a precast building. It'll come in one piece. It'll be hooked up in 2 days.
Concrete, wow.
Pick it up with the crane and set it over top of the pipes and hook everything up.
Cool.
So, same style as what we did at the soccer field. They set that building in 1 day, had plumbed in the next day, and we were up and running in 3 days.
Very good.
The one complaint that I did receive was one citizen lives across from where but then they just didn't like that the building got relocated into their line of sight, I guess. But I heard that we only actually moved the building like 20 feet.
Yeah, I don't think it's that much.
It's more than that.
More than 20 foot.
We had some sprinkler lines in between the two buildings that we were trying to avoid having to move along the wiring for the controls for the sprinkler system. That's why we opted, and we had a couple trees in the way too, so we opted to go farther up, closer to the playground equipment, and stay away from the other utilities. We didn't want to have to tear out the process.
Understood, thank you.
Anything else for? Great. Any standing committee? Any other business
I would request that we have a short recess
before executive session?
before executive session, Madam Mayor.
We'll do a short recess, to executive session, so if I can get a motion to leave regular session to enter executive session, reference 16-4-405 II personnel.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, entering executive session at 9:07 with a 5-minute break.